We now have word that the National Guard has arrived in Los Angeles. This is important because unlike the way you normally think about the National Guard, and by the way, I just want to make sure these are images from last night. This is not the National Guard involved in this. The National Guard, we do not have images of the National Guard in Los Angeles yet. But governor is activating the National Guard, and there's a lot of history and material in the Constitution about why that's the case. The National Guard in California has not been activated by the governor. It has been federalized by Donald Trump. The Trump administration said last night it would be sending the National Guard to L.A. in response to protests over immigration enforcement operations. Overnight, demonstrators clashed with law enforcement. Officials responded with tear gas. It's another discussion about whether they should be using tear gas on protesters. A lot of countries think it should be illegal. Some demonstrators set vehicles on fire and blocked major roadways. The protests are in response to a sweeping ICE operation in the Southern California region, particularly at a local Home Depot. Last night, President Trump said he would deploy 2,000 National Guard troops to the L.A. area. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass called the move unnecessary. California Governor Gavin Newsom, who nominally holds the power, as all governors do, to deploy the National Guard in their state, said it would create a spectacle. He accused the Trump administration of moving to take over the California National Guard. The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, going further. He tweeted this morning, quote, "The National Guard and Marines, if need be, stand with ICE." There's a lot of problems with that, by the way. The use of the military to do policing and law enforcement work is actually not allowed without a very specific exception, and that is the invocation of the Insurrection Act. Donald Trump's appointed border czar, Tom Homan, warned that both officials could face arrest. He's talking about Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom if they impede federal authorities' work. NBC's Jacob Soboroff spoke to Tom Homan exclusively last night.
There have been threats, previously that if you stand in the way of your enforcement operations, you could be subject potentially to arrest. Are you saying that about Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom? Are they at risk of being arrested?
I'll say it about anybody. You cross that line. It's a felony to knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien. It's a felony to impede law enforcement from doing their job.
Do you think that the mayor of LA is doing that?
If she crossed that line, we'll ask the DOJ to prosecute. Do I think she's crossed the line? I don't think she's crossed the line yet. But I'm telling you, the warning we're sending is we're not going to tolerate people attacking our officers. You violate the law, you're going to be prosecuted.
Notice a little pivot he did there, right? It started with a conversation about harboring immigrants, and then it became about attacking officers. Steve Patterson is joining me now. He's my colleague from Los Angeles. Steve, what's the situation like right now? We do understand the National Guard has now been put into place.
Yeah, National Guard is on the ground. Images are unmistakable. Of course, the armored vehicles, the sort of desert camo. You start to see them sort of set up in the area that we believe is kind of that federal complex downtown where a lot of the detentions for these sweeping ICE raids have been taking place. Obviously there, because that has been the flashpoint and will be the flashpoint for more protests today. As you saw those images sort of last night, you showed some of this stuff into the night. That was LAPD pushing back against protesters taking a line there because that's where they believe people are being taken. They took a line in Paramount yesterday because that's where they believe ICE or at least Homeland Security was conducting another raid across from that Home Depot. That's that black fence that you see right there. And the LA County Sheriff's pushing back against this. So these are already multiple peacekeeping agencies, right? You have the federal authorities who are in town, who, by the way, also sprayed deterrents and irritants and tear gas into crowds last night, but also LA County Sheriff's, LAPD, holding the peace, basically pushing the line back, making sure that people didn't spill over into the streets, that there wasn't a situation that I saw personally in Paramount where people were actually barricading roads, throwing cinder blocks into the roads, throwing shopping carts into the roads. That is their specific function. We spoke to the Sheriff Luna, who said that is their only function, that they are not assisting with these sort of federal actions that are taking place. Same for the large majority of the LAPD, pushing back against people who may be encroaching on property at the federal building, maybe breaching the peace, so to speak. sort of have another peacekeeping element, so to speak. 2,000 National Guard troops on the ground. I can't imagine it's going to do much more than elevate the tension, which is already extremely high. We're hearing that there is going to be another planned rally today at that federal complex. There will be, if not dozens, if not hundreds, if not maybe even thousands of protesters back on the street again. And at that point, we should see the first action taken by the National Guard, now federalized and in town.